Hi, I'm Jeremy Pollack, and you're about to watch a lesson in self-defense. Remember, our goal in this world is not to create more violence and aggression, but rather to create more peace and harmony whenever possible. So we're going to use these techniques only as a very last resort in the preservation and defense of innocent life. Thanks for watching. So one, drive, underneath, down, 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 down. Okay guys, so now we're going to learn how to defend against a knife with no weapon. Okay, so open hand against knife. This is one of the most difficult techniques to get down, and it's probably the most difficult to actually make work. Okay, so I'm going to say, if you can make this work 70% of the time, you're doing the right thing. There's no technique that's going to work 100% of the time. There's a lot of techniques online that show different types of maneuvers. I've worked a lot of different ones with a lot of different systems, and the ones that I use now are things that I find to be useful 70% of the time when I'm real-time sparring against a knife. So we're going to do the basic first technique here. We're going to do against a frontal attack. These attacks are not surprise attacks. The guy's got a knife out and he's ready to come at me. If it's a surprise attack and he's real close and he starts coming and stabbing, it's very, very difficult to defend. You're probably going to get stabbed a couple times. We can go over that in a later video. But the point of this one is that he's got the knife out, I know the knife is there, and I'm going to get ready for this frontal attack and try to disarm him as fast as possible. So again, with all martial arts, or all self-defense, street self-defense, our first attack is always to the first threat, right? So we have to attack the most immediate threat. Without a weapon, the most immediate threat is going to be his BMWS, his breath, mobility, willpower, and sight. Okay, so if I take one of those away, he can't fight, right? But if he has a knife or a weapon, that weapon becomes the first threat. I have to get to that weapon and control it before I can start working the rest of that stuff, okay? So when he comes at me with this weapon, all I'm doing is focusing on the knife. Same thing when I have knife against knife, I just focus on the knife, try to cut. All I'm doing, both hands, all my intention is going to that knife, okay? That's all I'm trying to do. So if I need to use a kick, which is normally what I'll do to get to the knife first, I'll do that, but it's only for a distraction, okay? So I'm not trying to win the fight with a kick. I'm trying to just distract him so I can get in close enough to that knife. Again, this is really dangerous stuff. My teachers would always tell me, and I'll tell you the same thing, if you go against a knife, you're probably going to get cut. So if you have any other options, escape, whatever, forget your ego, forget your pride, just get away from the knife. If you have no other options, you go against the knife in a knife fight, you got a 70% chance of winning, and you're probably going to get cut no matter what. So try not to get cut in the wrong place. What I'm going to do now is my body's going to be turned a little bit inwards. Okay, so I'm getting in my fighting stance with I'm a right-hander, so my right hand's in the back. I'm getting a little bit turned towards my angle, so I'm less of a target. I'm also protecting my femoral artery. I'm being aware of my axillary artery, and I'm being aware of my carotid artery up here. So I'm protecting this. I'm turning my foot inwards, and this is where I start. Okay, so I'm starting here, and what I want to do is I want to get to a position of control and isolate. Control and isolate. I need to control this weapon, and I need to isolate it from the other hand so that it doesn't grab. If I control it down here, it doesn't do me any good if he all of a sudden hands it off to the other hand, right? No good. So I need to isolate it so he can't hand it off as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control both hands here and isolate. Okay? We'll go over how to get into this position in a moment, but this is my ultimate goal, is to get here. And as soon as I get this grip, as soon as I get this control, I'm going to jam my shoulder into his shoulder, and I'm going to put my body in between his other hand and this hand and get this high if I can, right? This is the furthest distance from the other hand. So if he starts to try to reach for the hand, it's harder for him, okay? I'm keeping it up here, okay? So a couple of things when I grab this, okay? I don't want to just grab and just struggle down here. I'm going to jam my shoulder in, pop this up. Again, I go straight arms, so I'm nice and locked. Okay, I don't have to struggle against his bicep power if I can get my arms nice and locked. And I'm going to drive against his shoulder. Okay, so it's not just going to be here, right? I'm going to be here, driving. Okay, I want to drive against them. I want to put a lot of pressure, a lot of weight against the shoulder. Okay, so it's going to be one, driving in. Okay, once I drive in from here, when I start to feel him pushing back against me, right? So like if you're going to curl, let's say, like, what would your natural reaction be if I had this? Right? He's coming in like that, right? He's trying to grip it forward. So once I feel this, that's when I pull. I just go with the natural flow of his strength, and I go underneath. It's really easy when I start feeling him pushing back in. So I'm here, I go up with it, he starts resisting, I just slip underneath, really easy. Now I'm being aware of this knife, okay, I don't want to get too close to it, being aware of this knife. I'm going to turn my grip now and cover this so that if I do this and he hands it off behind him, no good, right? So when I get to this position, downwards here, I want to turn it and grip here. I'm gripping around his fingers so he doesn't hand it off. Now I've got control of this and I've got it isolated because he can't hand it off. So I get it behind here, and now all I got to do is drive his head to the ground. So I'm going to be here, pushing here. I'm going to drive the head to the ground, just push his head right to the ground. When I do this, look what his hand does. Automatically. His hand goes to the ground, puts itself out, so it's not going to even try now to hand it off to the other hand. So from here, one, coming in, driving again immediately, slipping underneath, keeping that knife away, turning my grip, grabbing his grip, hand over the head, and pushing downwards. Okay? Once I get that, I flatten him out on the ground, and it's easy to rip because his hands already, his shoulders are already locked. It's much easier to rip. If I get to here, and I'm gripping, and he won't go down. I'm pushing, it won't go down. I could come around this way and back this way. I just have to be aware of this knife. Just be aware of it, right? I come back this way, and I could just sit him back down over here. Okay? Now I sit him back down, I just pull his head down, I sit him down on his butt. Now I've got this. Now I can turn him over and grip, okay? And then I can just rip, all right? So one, drive, underneath, down, 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 to that. Ripping this way if I want, I can easily just pull this out right now, okay? Because he's got no strength left at all. So to get into that position, okay, if he's got his knife up and I'm here, this is a tough thing for me to get, right? to reach out. It's really dangerous for me to reach out for that knife. Let's say he tries to come at me, start stabbing me, right? I need to grab a hold of that. It's really difficult. I'm always usually going to start with a kick, okay? That's the one way that I distract him enough to get my hands on that, to get that control, to get my hands on that knife. Okay, so like let's say I'm here, then I can come in, okay? That's the way that it works when I start sparring. Rarely do I just get it if I'm just going to reach out. Too dangerous. Okay, so if we're here and he's got that knife, then I come here. Then I can underneath, rip, and then coming to my position here, okay? I can come to my knees or I can just come to my full armbar here. That's the idea. So I want to use my kick, boom, my kick, boom, something to get that distraction. Then I get that knife, okay? Again, getting that knife, coming into the shoulder right away, extending. I feel this, I come underneath, then I come into my position. Okay? If he starts to struggle like he was doing, he's struggling here, using my grip strength, wrist. Okay? Get that wrist down. Put it against his back. Get the wrist to his head. Put the knife towards his head and rip him this way. Okay? One alteration on this move is sometimes I'll get this control, right? So I use my kick, I get the control, and I try to go upwards with it. But he won't go up because he's too strong. He's pushing down like this. Again, I don't ever want to go force against force, so I'm going to go with his energy. So if he's pushing against me this way, I can't get it up, I'm just going to drop his knuckles to the ground. I'm going to go with him because he's putting his energy downwards. So I'm going to just sprawl out, knuckles on the ground. Okay? Once his knuckles are to the ground, again, I've got control now, but I have to isolate. So what I want to do is I'm going to get a Kimura. I'm going to wrap my shoulder around and come up here and get this nice arm lock here, rear arm lock. Then all I got to do is bring it out, isolate it, and now I'm going to bring it around into the position that I want to be, which is rear control. Okay? Flatten him out, boom, coming up. He won't let me go up. I sprawl out, get that knife to the ground, knuckles to the ground. I wrap, isolate, turn my hand, coming in through here. Now I'm at the rear arm lock. I can rip this way, boom, right? He might try to roll, but I'm not going to let him because I'm just keeping his arm here, right? And now I've got a good grip here. So there you go. That's our open hand defense against frontal knife attack. Got two versions. One, we try to go upwards with it and go under the arm, getting that rear arm lock. If we can't get that one, we go straight down, knuckles to the ground, get into the rear arm lock that way. So either way, we're going to flatten him out on the ground, and we rip that knife from the back. Stay tuned for more interesting knife techniques.